November 20th, 1943, Betio Island, Tarawa Atoll, Central Pacific. The ramp slams down too early. Seawater floods the landing craft instantly, rushing in cold and waist-deep, dragging men off balance before their boots even touch the reef. Bullets are already coming in, white streaks snapping inches above the water, hammering metal, flesh, and bone with equal indifference. You are not supposed to be here yet. The tide is wrong. Private First Class. Eddie Alvarez stumbles forward, his rifle held high, pack dragging him down like an anchor. A Marine beside him vanishes the moment his foot slips into a shell hole pulled under by the weight of his gear. No one stops. No one can. From the tree line, Japanese machine guns open fully now, overlapping fields of fire cutting the lagoon into lanes of death. Every step forward is paid for in blood. Lying flat in the shallows, just below the lip of the reef, Staff Sergeant Harold Howell Whitaker watches it unfold through a film of salt water and smoke. He does not rush. He does not fire. He has learned the hard way that rushing is how snipers die. Whitaker is 26 years old, already older than many of the men screaming around him will ever be. His face is lean, sunburned dark, eyes sunken from weeks of poor sleep aboard transport ships. Cradled against his chest is an M1903 Springfield, bolt worn smooth from use, the long barrel wrapped in canvas to dull its shine. Mounted on top is a Unital 8-power scope, fragile and precise, an odd choice in a war increasingly dominated by semi-automatics and volume of fire. But Whitaker doesn't need volume. He needs time. The first crack reaches him before the echo. Whitaker freezes. That sound, sharp, flat, precise, is not a machine gun. It is a rifle, close enough to matter, far enough to be deadly. A Japanese sniper has joined the fight. Whitaker lowers his face closer to the coral, inching his rifle forward until the muzzle barely clears the edge of the reef. He scans the beach through his scope, ignoring the chaos, isolating details. A broken palm trunk, a half-collapsed bunker, a stretch of sand that looks too empty. Then it comes again. Crack. A Marine collapses mid-stride, helmet flipping end over end as his body skids into the surf. There is no scream, just sudden absence. Whitaker exhales slowly through his nose. He has done this before, on Guadalcanal, in places where the jungle seemed alive, where death waited patiently instead of charging. He knows the rhythm. The Japanese sniper will not fire again immediately. He will wait. Whitaker reaches back into his pack with deliberate care and pulls out something no one would expect to save their life. A dented soup can, scavenged from a discarded sea ration box the night before. Its label is long gone, edges rusted sharp enough to cut skin. To anyone else, it is trash. To Whitaker, it is bait. He threads a thin length of wire through the can's rim, hands steady despite the gunfire roaring around him. Slowly, so slowly it takes nearly a full minute, he raises it above the reef, positioning it where a helmeted head should be. The can wobbles slightly in the breeze. Whitaker waits. 2 seconds. 3. Then, crack. The can explodes in a burst of tin and dust, spinning violently as the round punches straight through it. Whitaker does not move, because he already saw the flash, a brief pinprick of light inside a concrete firing slit, half hidden by palm fronds and camouflage netting. Less than 1/10 of a second, but enough. Whitaker shifts his rifle a fraction of an inch, compensating for distance, humidity, and the crosswind blowing in off the lagoon. He squeezes the trigger. The Springfield bucks once. Clean. Phenol. Inside the bunker, something slumps out of view. Whitaker rolls instantly, sliding back into the shallows and crawling sideways, changing position before anyone can answer the shot. He presses himself into the coral, heart pounding, not with fear, but with focus. The trick worked. And Whitaker already knows it will work again, because men, no matter how disciplined, cannot resist a target that looks careless. And on Betio Island, careless is everywhere. By nightfall, the beach is a slaughterhouse of wrecked landing craft, burning fuel and bodies tangled in wire. The Marines hold a foothold, but barely. Japanese snipers still own the ruins inland, pinning down medics, engineers, radio men. That night, Whitaker is given a quiet order: eliminate them. For the next 5 days, he will move through the shattered island like a ghost, alone or with a single spotter, turning debris into deception, patience into a weapon. And by the time Betio finally falls silent, more than 100 enemy snipers will never fire another shot. November 21st, 1943, Betio Island, 0200 hours. Night on Betio does not bring relief. It strips the island down to essentials: fire, shadow, sound. Flames lick upward from shattered fuel drums, casting hard, shifting light across concrete bunkers and torn palm trunks. Every shadow looks like a man crouched with a rifle. Every silence feels deliberate. Staff Sergeant Whitaker lies prone inside the remains of a Japanese trench line, the earth still warm beneath him. Beside him, PFC Eddie Alvarez keeps his cheek pressed to the dirt, eyes wide, listening more than watching. The Japanese snipers are still out there. They have not withdrawn. They are adjusting. Whitaker knows this because the random shots have stopped. No panicked firing, no wasted rounds. The enemy has learned that every shot draws death in return. That means the snipers left alive are veterans. Smart ones. Whitaker inches his rifle forward and studies the darkness through his scope. He's not looking for movement. He's looking for absence, places where debris should be disturbed, where shadows look too clean, where the dark feels intentional. Alvarez whispers, barely audible, "They're watching the fires." Whitaker nods. Japanese doctrine favors patience. Let the Americans move. Let them silhouette themselves. Let the enemy reveal his own position. Whitaker decides to reverse the equation. He reaches into his pack again. This time, he pulls out a shattered helmet liner, its webbing torn, sweat-stained, and stiff. He wraps a strip of cloth around it, then ties it to a piece of wire scavenged from beach obstacles. Slowly, he feeds the wire forward until the liner rises just above a sandbagged parapet. Nothing happens. 30 seconds pass. Then a shot cracks from the darkness. The round punches through the liner, tearing it free. Whitaker does not fire. Instead, he watches. A second later, another shot follows. Same direction, same elevation. 2 shots. 2 different rifles. Hunter-killer pair. Whitaker's jaw tightens. Now, it makes sense. The Japanese have stopped hunting individuals. They are hunting him. He slides backward, inch by inch, until the darkness swallows his position. Alvarez follows, breathing shallow, terrified, but disciplined enough not to break silence. They reposition behind a collapsed bunker wall. Whitaker digs a shallow firing rest into the sand with his knife, then waits. Minutes stretch. Sweat runs down his spine. Mosquitoes swarm his neck. Somewhere nearby, a wounded Marine groans until a corpsman reaches him. Then, movement. Not a shot. A shadow shifting slightly against firelight. Whitaker's scope catches the outline of a rifle barrel easing forward from behind rubble. That is the mistake. He fires. The shadow collapses inward. Before the second sniper can react, Whitaker rolls, changes position, and fires again, aiming not at where the man is, but where he must be to cover his partner. The second body slumps forward into the firelight. 2 more gone. By dawn, Whitaker's count has climbed into double digits. He doesn't say the number out loud. He doesn't mark it down. But the island feels different. Marines move more freely between positions. Engineers begin clearing obstacles without being immediately cut down. The Japanese respond by going deeper. They dig spider holes into rubble piles. They fire from drainage culverts. They use corpses as cover, knowing Marines hesitate to shoot where their own dead lie. Whitaker adapts again. He stops using obvious decoys. Now he uses time. A piece of cloth flutters in the same place for hours, ignored, until it twitches just enough to look accidental. A helmet, half buried in sand, rises 1 inch every 20 minutes. A mirror fragment catches the sun for a single heartbeat, then vanishes. Each reaction teaches him something. Distance. Angle. Patience. By the afternoon of the second day, Whitaker has not fired in nearly 3 hours. Alvarez finally whispers, "Staff Sergeant, what if they're done?" Whitaker shakes his head. "They're watching," he murmurs. "They always are." As if summoned by the words, a single shot rings out, close, sharp. The round smacks into the sand inches from Alvarez's face. Whitaker reacts instantly. He raises a rusted canteen cup tied to wire just above a pile of debris. The answering shot comes immediately. Too fast, too angry. Whitaker fires back. Silence follows. That night, rain begins to fall. Warm, heavy drops turning the island into mud and blood-soaked slurry. The rain masks sound. It hides movement. It also carries echoes. Whitaker uses it. Each Japanese shot now betrays itself twice. Once in sound, once in reflection. By midnight, the rain has washed blood into the trenches, and Whitaker's rifle barrel is too hot to touch. Alvarez stares at him in awe and fear. "How do you know?" he finally asks. Whitaker answers without looking up. "Because if I were them," he says quietly, "I'd do the same thing." And on Betio Island, that understanding is deadlier than any weapon. November 22nd, 1943, Betio Island, 3rd day of the invasion. Morning arrives without ceremony. The sun climbs over the lagoon, burning away the rain haze and revealing what the night has left behind. Collapsed bunkers, twisted bodies, sand churned into something closer to meat than earth. The heat comes early, thick and suffocating, pressing down on everything that still breathes. Staff Sergeant Whitaker has not slept. Not truly. He has closed his eyes for seconds at a time, rifle still cradled in his arms, mind hovering just beneath waking. Every sound jerks him back to full alertness. Beside him, PFC Alvarez looks hollowed out. His eyes ring dark, hands shaking when he grips his rifle. The Japanese snipers are quieter now. That worries Whitaker more than the gunfire ever did. He crawls forward, through a collapsed trench, careful not to disturb loose debris. His position now overlooks the island's center, a killing ground of rubble piles, smashed pillboxes, and wrecked command posts. It is perfect terrain for snipers. It is a nightmare for anyone trying to advance. Whitaker studies it like a chessboard. He notices patterns. The Japanese fire when Marines move between shadows. They favor positions with 2 escape routes. They abandon nests after 3 shots, sometimes after only 1. These are not desperate men. These are disciplined professionals, which means they are still confident. Whitaker decides to break that confidence. He sets up 3 decoys in 3 different sectors, each one different. The first is obvious, a helmet raised too high, too fast. The second is subtle, a strip of cloth fluttering in a doorway. The third is cruel, a canteen cup resting on a corpse's chest, lifted just enough to look like a wounded man trying to drink. He waits. The first shot comes at the helmet. Whitaker fires back instantly and relocates. The second shot comes 5 minutes later at the cloth. Whitaker does not respond. He wants them to think he missed it. The third shot comes 20 minutes after that. The canteen cup spins away as the round punches through bone. Whitaker fires twice in rapid succession. 2 bodies fall in nearly the same place. Alvarez exhales shakily. That's 4, Whitaker finishes. The day grinds on. By mid-afternoon, Japanese fire becomes erratic. Snipers rush their shots, firing at anything that moves, sometimes revealing themselves to Marines armed with Garands and bars. Fear has begun to creep in. That is when snipers make mistakes. Whitaker crawls into a shattered bunker and peers through a narrow crack in the wall. He spots a rifle barrel protruding from rubble less than 20 yards away. Too close, too exposed. The sniper inside fires and misses. Whitaker does not. The count keeps rising. 20, 30, 40. No one says the number aloud, but Marines start to notice. Patrols move faster. Medics work with fewer interruptions. A flamethrower team reaches a bunker line without losing a man. Late that afternoon, Whitaker encounters something new. A Japanese sniper fires after Whitaker shoots. Deliberate. Calculated. Bait. Whitaker freezes. He knows this trick too. The enemy is trying to draw him into revealing his position by exploiting his rhythm. Whitaker breaks it. He does not fire again. He waits nearly an hour, unmoving, letting sweat pool beneath him, letting ants crawl across his hands. When the Japanese sniper finally shifts, impatient, curious, Whitaker fires. The shot ends it. That night, Alvarez whispers, "They're afraid now." Whitaker says nothing. Fear makes men dangerous. The Japanese begin firing blind, sending rounds into likely hiding places. One bullet shatters a rock inches from Whitaker's face, spraying stone fragments into his cheek. He does not react. Instead, he lifts a broken pair of Japanese binoculars, lenses shattered but frames intact, and lets them catch firelight for just a second. The response is immediate. Whitaker fires. Another shadow disappears. By the end of the third day, the island's sniper fire has thinned to isolated cracks. Whitaker's hands are steady. His mind is not. He has stopped seeing faces. He sees angles, distances, corrections. Alvarez finally asks the question everyone is thinking. "How many now?" Whitaker answers quietly, "Enough." But the island is not finished yet. And neither are the men still hiding in its ruins. November 23rd, 1943, Betio Island, 4th day. The 4th day begins with an unnatural stillness. No sporadic rifle fire, no sudden cracks from the rubble, just the distant rumble of naval guns pounding targets beyond the island and the constant hiss of wind moving across wreckage. Staff Sergeant Whitaker does not trust it. He lies half buried in sand behind a collapsed seawall, watching a stretch of ground no one has crossed since the first day. His rifle is already trained on the area, finger resting alongside the trigger guard, not touching it. Alvarez crouches nearby, whispering, "Maybe they pulled back." Whitaker shakes his head slowly. "They don't pull back," he murmurs. "They wait." The Japanese snipers have changed again. Instead of firing at movement, they are firing at patterns. Marines who pause too long. Men who move the same way twice. Anyone who looks like they might be watching instead of advancing. Whitaker realizes something else, too. They know about him. They may not know his name or his rank, but they know a Marine sniper is dismantling them one by one. And now they want him dead. The first attempt comes just after mid-morning. A single shot snaps past Whitaker's ear, close enough that he feels the heat of it. The firing position is impossible to spot. Too well hidden, too far back. A probing shot, testing him. Whitaker does not respond. Instead, he crawls backward, slow and silent, until he reaches a patch of rubble littered with scrap metal and broken equipment. He chooses a new position, not where a sniper would logically move, but where a tired man wouldn't. Minutes later, another shot comes, this one aimed at where Whitaker had been. The Japanese sniper fires again, certain he has found his mark. That certainty costs him his life. Whitaker fires once, relocates, then fires again from a new angle. Alvarez stares at the empty space where the enemy had been. "They were tracking you." Whitaker nods. And now they're guessing. By afternoon, the Japanese begin working in teams of 3. One fires, one watches, one moves. It is the most dangerous tactic yet. Whitaker responds by slowing everything down. He stops firing for nearly half a day. No decoys, no bait, nothing. The Japanese grow restless. Late in the day, one of them takes the risk Whitaker has been waiting for, firing twice from the same position. Whitaker answers, then answers again. 2 bodies slump almost simultaneously. The third man tries to run. He does not make it 10 feet. That evening, Whitaker and Alvarez crawl through a wrecked command post and find evidence of how close the enemy has come. A spider hole less than 15 yards from where they slept the night before. Fresh footprints, recent shell casings. Alvarez swallows hard. They could have... Whitaker cuts him off. But they didn't. The 5th day begins before dawn. The remaining Japanese snipers are desperate now. They fire recklessly, some shouting challenges, others screaming as they shoot. Discipline is gone. That is the most dangerous moment of all. Whitaker uses his last decoy, a battered soup can, wired to a stick, raised slowly over a pile of rubble. 3 shots answer it. 3. Whitaker fires 3 times. Silence follows. As the sun rises, the island finally exhales. No more cracks. No more flashes. Just wind, smoke, and the sound of Marines moving freely for the first time since landing. Whitaker lowers his rifle. Alvarez whispers, "Is it over?" Whitaker scans the ruins one last time. "Yes," he says quietly. "Now it is. November 24th, 1943, Betio Island, just after sunrise." The silence is complete. Not the fragile pause between gunshots, but a deeper quiet, the kind that settles only after something has been utterly exhausted. Smoke still drifts across the island, but no new fires burn. No rifle cracks the air. The jungle does not answer back. Staff Sergeant Harold Whitaker sits with his back against a shattered pillbox, rifle across his knees, eyes scanning out of habit more than necessity. His body aches in places he didn't know could ache. His hands are swollen, fingertips split and raw. He has not removed his boots in 5 days. Around him, Marines move up right now. They stand. They talk. Some even laugh, short, disbelieving bursts that die quickly when they remember where they are. A corpsman kneels beside Whitaker and wordlessly hands him a canteen. Whitaker drinks, then hands it back without comment. He does not thank the man. Gratitude feels too small for what they've all endured. An officer approaches, Captain James Harlan, Battalion Intelligence. His uniform is stained, his eyes rimmed red with exhaustion. He crouches beside Whitaker, careful not to silhouette himself out of habit. "Staff Sergeant," Harlan says quietly, "we're compiling reports." Whitaker nods once. Harlan hesitates. "How many?" Whitaker does not answer immediately. He thinks of the moments instead. The glint of light, the crack before the echo, the brief weightless instant when the trigger breaks. 100, he says finally. Then, after a pause, "Maybe more." Harlan writes a number anyway. 112? It becomes official. Not in headlines, not in speeches. Just ink on paper, folded into after-action reports that will gather dust in file cabinets for decades. Whitaker never sees the number again. Later that day, Marines begin clearing the remaining bunkers. Flamethrowers hiss. Explosions thud dull and heavy. Occasionally, a Japanese soldier staggers out, wounded or dazed, only to be cut down by a reflexive fire. Whitaker watches none of it. His war, this part of it, is over. Alvarez sits beside him, staring at the island like he's seeing it for the first time. "They're all gone," he says quietly. Whitaker nods. That night, aboard a transport ship anchored offshore, Whitaker finally sleeps. Not fitfully, deeply. He dreams of wire tightening, of cans rising slowly into light, of waiting forever for a shot that never comes. When he wakes, the ship is already moving. Tarawa fades into the horizon, just another smear of smoke and memory. Weeks later, on another island, another Marine will tie a helmet to a stick. He will raise it carefully. He will wait. And somewhere in the shadows, a Japanese sniper will make the same mistake. Whitaker's name will never be attached to the tactic. It won't need to be, because war does not remember men for their names. It remembers what works,